What if I told you that most people never change because they spend their whole lives trying to repaint the world instead of changing the lens through which they look at it? What if I told you that a powerful king, the ruler of the mightiest empire of ancient China, once painted his entire kingdom, every house, every road, every tree, every animal, green? Not because he loved the color, but because of a single mistake, a mistake that millions of people today still make. This is the story of the blind king and the wise man, a story that might change the way you see your own life. Let's begin. Many people believe that if they are not happy, if their life is not working, the problem is their environment, their job, their neighborhood, their family, the city they live in, the people around them. So they spend years, sometimes their whole lifetime, trying to change everything around them. But the tragedy is this: they change the furniture, they change the house, they change the country, but they never change themselves. Today's story reveals a truth people rarely talk about. Real transformation begins inside you, not around you. In the heart of ancient China, there lived a mighty king, a ruler who led the kingdom for many years with strength, confidence, and pride. But one day, his eyes began to fail, colors blurred, shapes disappeared, darkness slowly spread across his vision. The king panicked. If he lost his sight, he feared he might also lose his throne. He immediately summoned the royal doctors, the finest healers in the palace. They examined him, gave him herbs, gave him ointments, gave him prayers, but nothing worked. Days turned into weeks, and the king's vision only worsened. The entire palace grew anxious. Officials whispered, servants trembled. The kingdom began to lose its direction, because even the strongest leaders grow weak. When fear enters their hearts, unable to accept defeat, the king issued a royal command: summon every healer, doctor, and wise man in the entire empire. Whoever can save my eyes shall be rewarded with anything they desire. Soon, thousands of healers from every corner of China gathered at the palace. They tried every remedy imaginable. Still nothing. Hopelessness filled the palace. The king's advisors didn't know what to do, until one advisor stepped forward. "Your Majesty, in the distant east, there is a wise healer, a man known for curing the incurable. If you wish, we can send for him." With no hope left, the king agreed. The message was sent across mountains and borders, and months later, the wise man finally arrived. The king was confused. "What difference does it make?" he asked. Wise man says, "A leader suffers for the people. A ruler makes the people suffer for him." The wise man was brought before the king. The king asked, "Can you heal my eyes?" The wise man bowed and replied, "Yes, Your Majesty, I can." The king smiled for the first time in weeks. "If you heal me, I will give you anything you desire." But the wise man said, "I seek no reward, only an answer to one question. Are you a leader of your people, or a ruler over them?" The king straightened his crown and declared proudly, "I am a leader." The wise man nodded and said, "Then follow my instruction. I will apply medicine to your eyes. But for the next 2 months, do not look at anything that is not green. If you do, you will remain blind forever." Then the wise men left the kingdom. The king thought long and hard about the instruction. Do not look at anything except green. He panicked. He feared making a mistake. He feared losing his sight forever. So he made a command that would shock history: paint the entire kingdom green. And the people obeyed. The fields were painted, the houses were painted, the roads were painted, clothes were dyed, even animals were covered in green cloth. Everything everywhere became green, not because it made sense, but because the king was afraid to deal with his own problem. For 2 months, the kingdom looked like a giant green forest. When the wise men returned and saw the kingdom, he was stunned. He laughed in disbelief. People were confused. The king proudly welcomed him with a grand celebration. When they were alone, the wise men finally spoke to the king. "Your Majesty, 2 months ago, you told me you were a leader. But if you were a leader, you would not force your entire nation to suffer your illness. Look around you. You painted the whole kingdom green. But tell me, how will you paint the sky, the sun, the mountains, the rivers?" Then he held up a small object, a pair of green spectacles, with only 2 silver coins. "You could have changed your world, Instead of trying to change the entire world around you, the king lowered his head in shame. He finally understood. My brother, this story teaches a powerful truth. Most of the suffering in our lives doesn't come from the problems themselves, but from the space we give those problems in our minds. People try to change their job, their house, their parents, their country, when the real change needs to happen within them. You don't need to paint the world you live in. You only need to change the lens through which you see it. Great leaders fix themselves first. Great people transform their minds before they transform their surroundings. Because a good name is sweeter than the finest perfume. If you enjoyed this story, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Thank you.